Okay, we're on page 100 of the V'Hashem Es Havoda. And here we're talking about Psichas Hash'orim V'Hatikiyos. Remember, we did the first lottery. The first lottery gave us the winner for the Trumas Hadeshen. That winner did the Trumas Hadeshen. He set up the wood on the Maroch Gedolah, Maroch Shel Ketores. The fats and the limbs of the day before were put back on the Marocha Gedolah. Our winner lit the two sets of logs. And after the two sets of logs were lit, our winner number one threw two additional pieces of wood, the mitzvah of Shnei Gezirei Eitzim, onto the Marocha Gedolah. We then continue with the Payasheni, the second lottery, which occurred in the Lishkas HaGazis. We have 13 winners. The first one is the Shochet, the second one is the Zorek, the third one is going to clean the Mizbeach HaKtores inside the Heichel, and the fourth one is going to clean the menorah in the Heichel. And as I said, as we learned, although the winners are winner 1, finger 82, you are going to shech. Next to you, to the right, you are going to sprinkle to the blood. Next to you, to the right, you're going to clean the Mizbeach HaKtores. Next to you, to the right, you're going to clean the menorah. That's the order of winners, but that is not the order of the Avoda. The cleaning of the Mizbeach HaKtores and the cleaning phase 1 of the menorah will come before the Shechita and the Zrika. Before we can do anything, any Avoda, we have to get the doors open to the Azorah. Most importantly, we have to get the door open to the Heichel. If the door to the Heichel is not open, no karbanas may be brought. So if we go to Amidos, diagram number 3, here's the doors. This is the Ulam. This is the Heichel. The Mizbeach HaKtores sort of in the center. We have the menorah on the southern wall of the Heichel, and the Shulchan on the northern wall of the Heichel. Harotza lahachkim yadrim. The Gemara says if you want to become a chacham, you go to the south because the menorah was there. And harotza lahasha yatzmin. If you need wealth, you go to the north, whatever that means. And the symbol for that is the Shulchan was on the northern side of the Heichel. So we have to get this door open, the Heichel door open. You can see the Heichel door is opposite the Ulam opening, and then we have the 12 steps, and that is right at the Mizbeach. In order to bring karbonas on the Mizbeach, the Ulam curtain is open, the Heichel door must be open so that the karbonas are brought, what's called in the Pasuk Pesach Ohel Moed. This has to be open, the Heichel. The Heichel doors are not open yet, and that's what we're going to learn about now. Psichas Hash'orim V'Hatikiyos, opening the gates and blowing shofar. We haven't learned about the blowing shofar yet in our Mishnayos, but it's going to be introduced here in the V'Hashem Es Havoda as part of opening the doors. I just want to raise an issue. We're not going to answer it, but just raise as an issue. The Gemara in Erechim talks about Leviim having two basic functions in the Beis HaMikdash. Now, in the Midbar, they had a third function. In the Midbar, because the Mishkan was a traveling Beis HaMikdash, you put it up, you took it apart, you traveled, you put it back up, you took it apart, traveled, put it back up. The Leviim were in charge of taking apart the Beis HaMikdash, wrapping it up, and carrying it. Gershon, Kaz, and Merari. Once the Beis HaMikdash was built in a permanent place in Yerushalayim on the Har HaBayis, there was no taking it apart and carrying it anywhere. So that function of the Leviim ceased. The Leviim, however, still had two major jobs, Shoarim and Meshorerim. Shoarim, the keepers of the gates, they were in charge of opening and closing the gates of the Beis HaMikdash, and Meshorerim, they were singers. Singers meaning that when a korban Tamid was brought in the morning or the afternoon of other karbanos tzibur, there was a special shir shel yom that they sang. That's the shir shel yom that we say in the morning Hayom Yom Rishon B'Shabbos Kodesh, Hashir Shehalavim Hayu Omrim B'Beis Hamikdash. Certain Levium had good voices, and they were called Meshorerim. Certain Levium knew how to play musical instruments. They played the instruments. So they were the musicians and the choir in the Beis Hamikdash. Other Levium, who may not fill that part, they can't play instruments or they don't have the finest voices, they became Shoarim. They were the ones that were responsible for opening the gates in the morning and closing the gates at night. The problem with that halacha in Masechta Erechim is that we learned in Midos, and we're going to continue to learn in Tamid. We're learning that it is the Kohanim who open the doors to the Azorah. How can the Kohanim open the doors to the Azorah if it was the job of the Levium? Not only that, but the Gemara in Erechim says that a Meshoar, meaning someone that's supposed to deal with the gates, is not allowed to sing. And a singer, a Meshorer, is not allowed to be a Meshoar. He's not allowed to open the gates. So even within Levium, if you were designated as a gatekeeper, you were not allowed to sing. If you were designated a singer, you were not allowed to deal with the gates. So how is it that now we leave Levium and we go to Kohanim? The Kohanim were opening doors and gates in the Beis Hamikdash. This is a question that's asked and dealt with. The only thing I'm bringing to your attention is that the actual job of opening and closing the gates of the Har HaBayis Beis Hamikdash in Masechta Erechim appears to be the job of Levium. Yet here we're going to learn, and we've learned about, that the gates are opened by Kohanim. We're on now page 100 of the V'Hoshev Es Ha'avoda. Psichas HaShorim V'Hatikiyos. Aleph, Osam HaKohanim Shezachu Bepayis Bedisha Mizbech HaPnimi V'Hamenorah. Our winner 3 and winner 4 of lottery 2, the Kohen who's going to clean the Mizbech HaKtoros, and the Kohen that's going to clean the menorah, they took the keys. And the way we learned it was winner number 3 takes the 2 keys. Winner number 3, who's going to clean the Mizbech HaKtoros in the Heichel, has to get into the Heichel. The Heichel right now is locked. Similarly, the Kohen who's going to clean the menorah has to get into the Heichel, and right now it's locked. So we learn, Pashut in the Mishnah, that the Kohen, winner 3 of lottery 2, who is going to clean the Mizbeach, he has the 2 keys. He gets the 2 keys from the Beis Hamokeh. And he's going to open the 2 locks. The 2 locks are what? Let's continue. Boyin Ata, those 2 Kohanim now come, B'terem sheyishchatu es haTamid, before the Tamid is slaughtered. V'notlen eshtei maftechos, they take the 2 keys, showing you a picture in number 107. U'aviyim b'yodem shnei kelim, and they have 2 vessels with them. Hateni, the basket, it's a gold basket, picture 108. That basket is going to be held by the Kohen who's going to clean the Mizbeach HaKtoros. V'hakuz, and the kuz looks like, it's a smaller bowl, it almost looks like a becher, and that's in picture 109. And that is going to be used by the Kohen who's going to clean the menorah. So the Kohen who's going to clean the Mizbeach HaPnimi, the Mizbeach HaKtoros, has the kuz, picture 108, because he's going to take all the ash that's left on the Mizbeach and put it into that bowl, cleaning off the Mizbeach for the new Ketoros that day. The winner number 4 of lottery 2, who's going to clean the menorah, he's going to use 109, what looks like a bech. He's going to put the leftover oil, the wicks. If there's ash, he's going to put it into there. So these 2 Kohanim, each of them takes their respective vessel. The Kohen, who's going to clean the Mizbeach, has 2 keys. And now they're going to start the process. They're going to open the Heichel to get into the Heichel, but they're not going to open the big doors of the Heichel. Okay, we're going to deal with that right now. Ushnei maftechos, besides each of them having a vessel, the Kohen who's going to take off the ash from the Mizbeach HaKtores, he has two keys. Higia l'shar hakoten shebetzad sofo, mimin shah hagolo shel hechel. He would then, the Kohen, who is going to clean the Mizbeach HaPnimi, approaches the small door that's on the right side of the big doors of the Heichel. If you take a look at 110, you see the big doors of the Heichel. How big are the big doors of the Heichel? Every door in the Beis HaMikdash, with the exception of the Ulam, is 10 amos wide and 20 amos high. The Ulam is 20 by 40. All the other doors are 10 by 20. So the door you're looking at in picture 110 is a gold. It's a door made out of wood which has a gold covering on it. It is 10 amos wide, 20 amos high, which means each door, there are two doors there, each door is 5 amos by 20. Together, the opening is 10 by 20. That's not the door they're going to open to get into the Heichel. If you notice in picture 110, to the right side, there's a little door that's called a Pishpash. That's called the Pishpash Tzfoni, the northern little door. There was also the Pishpash Deromi, a small little door on the left side of the big doors. But that, remember, we learned in the Mishnah, it says, Lo nichnas bo odem me'olam. That door is never opened. The little door on the southern side or on the left side of the big door is never open. And then we learned from the Psukim in Yecheskel that in fact it was opened on Rosh Chodesh and on Shabbos. And the Kohen Gadol or the Mashiach is going to eat his korbanos inside that door, etc. We explained when we learned the Mishnah, we explained when we learned the Psukim Yecheskel, how all those psukim work out, where it says it will never be open, and it says it will be open. Okay, but that's the northern pishpash to the Heichel on the left side of the large doors. We are now dealing with the little door on the right side of the big doors, which you can see in 110. That little door had two locks on it. One lock was at the bottom and was an unusual lock. One lock was a regular lock in the middle of the door. The Mishnah described us, Bahashir Avoda is going to tell us now, that the lock at the bottom of the door was inside the door. So that it was so deep inside there because the door had a thickness to it that the Kohen would have to reach. There would be a little hole in the door at the bottom. The Kohen would have to stick his hand through that hole up to his armpit and then use the key 1, to open the door from the inside. Then he would use key number 2 to open the regular lock that's on the outside. And that's what Hashivas Havod is now explaining on page 101. There were two locks on this little pishpash on the right side of the large doors. One was at the bottom of this little door. And the Kohen Gadol will have to stick his hand through a little slot at the bottom of the door until his armpit, and he would open the slot from the inside. The second key is the second lock is a regular lock. It's at the regular height of human being, and the Kohen opens that lock from the outside like any other lock. Now that this little door is open, nichnas lateh, he would enter the tunnel, nichnas lahechel, and from the teh he went into the hechel, and from there he would go until he got to the inside of the hechel, meaning the inside of the hechel, he's in the back of the doors. He removed the lock, the bolt, and he opened the door of the Heichel. We learned about this in Masechta Midos. We learned about it again in Masechta Tamid. There's a machlokas how this was done, but the Mishnah in Midos brings down 2 shitas. The Mishnah in Tamid that we learned only brings down 1 shita, and that was picture 34C in Midos. This is the Heichel. This is the door. This is the big door. There are all kinds of walls and tunnels that are around the Heichel. These are the ta'im that we learned about. This is right here the northern pishpash. which was quote unquote never opened. This is the southern Pishpash. Did I get that right? Yes. The arrow is showing you. Yeah. The arrow is showing you. Okay, this is the southern side. This is the southern Pishpash. This is where the Kohen would open it up. This is the northern Pishpash, which remained closed. So our Kohen, winner number 3 of lottery number 2, who is going to clean the Mizbeach HaKtoros that's in the Heichel, he's going to open the door right here with the 2 keys. He's going to enter the tunnel. He's going to make a turn. There's an opening here. He's going to walk through this area. He's now inside the Heichel. He comes to the door of the Heichel. He's in the Heichel, and he's behind the doors. There are 2 sets of doors to the Heichel. One set, the inner set. Second set, the outer set. He's going to open the inner set inside to the Heichel. The doors are the exact size, so when you open it, each door is 5 amos wide. The whole opening is 10, so each door is 5. He opens this door, and it goes against this area, this backside. And he opens this door 5 amos, and it goes to this backside, which is exactly 5 amos. The inside doors are now open to the inside. The Kohen, our winner number 3 of lottery number 2, now goes into this little vestibule, and he opens the outer doors inside. Again, each door is 5 amos. It opens up right against the wall. Each wall here is 5 amos. So we now have the Heichel doors are open. He didn't just open Heichel doors as a matter of kavod. He went through a little opening, came into the Heichel, and then opened the large doors. Once these large doors of the Heichel are open, Avoda can actually begin, and he is now ready to clean the Mizbeach that's here. And winner number 4 of lottery 2 is going to be ready to clean the menorah that is also in the Heichel on the southern wall. Along with this, there's the blowing of the shofar. We learned that there's, every day in the shofar, there's a minimum of 21 blasts during the day to signify different things that are happening on the Beis HaMikdash. Every day there's a minimum of 21. And on certain days, there were 48. That's the maximum number. It's a Mishnah in Sukkah. The Mishnah there talks about on a regular day, there's 21 shofar blasts. On certain days, the maximum would be 48. This is done, the first 3 tekiyas. Tekiya, true, tekiya is done in the morning when the doors are open. Beis, on page 101. La'achar shepasach es hapishpesh hashar hakotin, nichnas la'ateh, u'na'ateh nichnas la'heichel, u'mahalach b'soch ha'heichel ad shemagil hashar ha'heichel, which we just described. Heiser es haman l'pasach hashar. Gimel. Bisman zeh, at this time, postem es kol shari ha'azara al tzivu shel ben gever shu amamun al psichas u'ne'ila shari ha'mikdash. At that time, when the Heichel doors are open, all the other doors in the Azara are open. Diagram number 3 in Maseches Midos. There are many openings in the Azara. Northern side, eastern side. In fact, there's a machlokas in the Mishnah. How many openings were there to the Azara? But all the openings of the Azara now were, all the doors to the Azara were open once that Heichel door was open. And this was done by an announcement. Remember, we have 15 Kohanim supervisors in the Beis HaMikdash. The supervisor for the opening of the doors, his name was Ben Gever. And he, when he heard the Heichel doors open, he would then make the announcement that all the doors of the Azara should now be opened. If you take a look on page 102 of the V'hashivas Havoda, you have picture 112. That's the Kohen, our winner number 3 of lottery 2, who is going to clean the Mizbeach HaPnimi. He got into the Heichel through the tunnel. He is now inside the Heichel, and he's opening the inner doors. And as we explained when we looked at this picture the first time, you can see the walls of the Heichel are actually gold. but behind the doors were left marble. They didn't cover it with gold, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu Chasam Amonim She'Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has Rahmanas and Jewish money. There was no point, according to halacha, to spend money to cover the back of the, well, I'm talking about this area. There was no point to cover this area in gold, because when you open the doors is when people would see the room. And when you open the doors, the wall would be covered by the gold on the door. So there was no point in covering this area with gold if it's going to be covered by the doors anyways. So Rebbeinu Shalom says, do not spend the money to cover that area with gold. It's going to be covered anyway. So the inner doors are now open. Picture 113 shows you exactly that. The inner doors are now open, so the marble wall is now covered with the gold doors. The Kohen is in that small vestibule between the big door, between the inner doors and the outer doors. And now he's going to open those outer doors again towards the inside. You can look at the picture. They're showing you again the wall on the inside of the vestibule. It looks green in the picture, but they're showing you that it's not gold. But once those outer doors are flipped open against the wall, that wall will be gold too. And again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the halacha, don't spend the money to cover that part of the wall with gold, because when it's open, that wall will be covered anyways with the gold doors. Page 103 in Bahashem Esavoda. Dalet Shnei Kohanim Lepachos, at least 2 Kohanim minimally, could be more, but minimally 2 Kohanim. Tokim Sholosh Tekiyas, they blow 3 Tekiyas. And now they're telling you to look at picture 114 at the bottom. And these Tekiyas were blown not by a shofar, but by Chatzotzos, trumpets, which you can see in picture 115. Shehem Tekiya, true Utekiya. With the trumpets, they blew a tekiya, true a tekiya. There are 2 kohanim blowing in unison, tekiya, true a tekiya. The chatzotzos shel kesef, and the chatzotzos were made out of silver, not out of gold. Again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Chasam Amonim Shel Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, no need to spend money to have gold trumpets. You can use silver trumpets. The Gemara has a discussion about this. And I said, again, there are 2 sides to the coin. When to use what depends on the halacha. Sometimes we say, Ein aniyas b'makom ashiras, you're in God's palace, don't be cheap. And sometimes we say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Chasam Amonim Shel Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has Rahmanas and Jewish money, and don't spend the money. So the trumpets are a perfect example. The trumpets I would want to make out of gold. I'm blowing the trumpets so that the doors of the Beis HaMikdash open up. Use gold trumpets. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says no. Spend money on silver trumpets, not gold trumpets. In other places, or God says, don't cover the back walls with gold because the doors will cover them. In other places, the Gemara says, there's no cheapness in God's palace. So the halacha will tell us when to use which side of the coin. The chatzotzos, the trumpets, were made out of silver. Hey, you can see at the bottom of the picture, there are the minimal 2 kohanim, and they're blowing the trumpets. And the doors of the Azor are now being opened. Hey, Hamamuna al Psichas Hashorim Noslam Tchila B'Shuslat Koah. First, this is an official process. This is a palace. People just don't go around doing what they want to do. There's a Mamuna, the supervisor, first instructs the 2 Kohanim. You may now blow shofar. This is the way things are done in a palace. It is time for you to do this. And then you do it. And things run clockwork. And they run by instruction and direction. So the Mamuna says he hears the Heichel doors open by our winner, number 3 of lottery number 2. And now the Mamuna says to the 2 Kohanim, minimally, who are holding the trumpets, blow. And they blow the Tekiya, Trua, and the Tekiya. Vav. Misha Zacha Lishchodes HaKorban. Now we go back to our winner 1 of lottery 2. He won Shechita. Einoi Maschel B'Shechita. He's not allowed to start the Shechita on the animal. Ad Shehoya Shomeh Eskolo Shel Ashar Hagol Shuniftach. Until he heard the Shar Hagodol is the great doors, meaning the doors of the Heichel. The Shechita cannot begin until he hears the doors of the Heichel open. As we said, Shechita must occur Pesach, Oel, Moed, the Pasuk says, to the opening of the Oel Moed. So those doors of the Heichel must be open. Zayin, Kol Psicha Shar Hagadol, Hayanishma Biricha. One of the 10 miracles we learned about in Mishnah and Tamid is that the sound of opening those 2 large doors of the Heichel would be heard even in Yericha. So that's where we're up to right now. The trumpets have been blown to Kia. The trumpets have been blown. The trumpets of silver have been blown to Kia, Truat Kia. And the Heichel doors have been opened. The Mamuna says, blow Tekiah, Truat Tekiah. They blow the Tekiah, Truat Tekiah. All the other doors of the Azora are open. And now, winner number 1 of lottery number 2 is going to do the Shechita. And not actually, we're going to still have to wait for the Disha Mizbeach Apnimi. We're not ready for Shechita yet. Where the Kohen who is going to do the Shechita is preparing to do the Shechita. Blineda tomorrow will continue on page 104 of the Vahasheves Havoda, which is Disha Mizbeach Hapnimi, cleaning off the inner Mizbeach. And the inner Mizbeach is cleaned off by winner number 2. Winner number 3 of lottery number 2 is going to clean the Mizbeach HaKtoris. Winner number 4 of lottery 2 is then going to clean 5 of the sticks of the menorah. Stop. Then winner number 1 and winner number 2 will shech the animal and sprinkle the blood. And then we go back to the Heichel, and winner number 4 of lottery number 2 will clean the last 2 sticks of the menorah. So that's the basic order. We're going to come to the halachas of Disha Mizbeach HaPnimi, how to clean off the Mizbeach HaKtoris in the morning from the Ketores of the day before. We'll pick up with that tomorrow, Bli Neder, on page 104. Those Yidden who need Yeshua should have Yeshua. Those Yidden need Refuah should have Refuah. Those Yidden need Nechama should have Nechama. Yidden need Bracha should have the Brachas that they need. Brachas, Yeshua's, Nechamas, Refuahs can only come to the Bnei Shalom. He's the Echad, Yachid, Umiyuchad. We need to understand that and let it filtrate down and let it be absorbed in our hearts. And that's the Gilui HaYichud that we do for ourselves. That Gilui HaYichud not only lifts us up, but lifts up the whole world around us. When we understand that everything is controlled by the Rebbeinu Shalom, He's the Echad, Yachid, Umiyuchad. He's the only one. And He has different shluchim that He sends to accomplish a Refuah, Yeshua, Nechama, Bracha, Parnasa. But the root of it is all from the Rebbeinu Shalom, and that's our Gilui HaYichud. Baruch Shalom should be matzal us from this corona, should be matzal Klal Yisrael from all the service that we're going through. We should not be such mefunakim. We should be ready to take off our shoes and step on a couple of pebbles in terms of a metaphor. Shouldn't be a mefunik. The Baruch Shalom is not going to put a rope around our necks and say, you must have a relationship with me. We have to work on that from ourselves. It has to come from inside, that's what we really want. We want to have a relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. And then the Rebbeinu Shalom has a lot of things that we can do to help along in becoming an Eved Hashem. We call that mitzvahs. But that first attitude, if you're mafunik, you don't get anywhere. If you're mafunik, the Rebbeinu Shalom says, stay home. Don't take off your shoes. It's okay. Don't trample on the pebbles. If it's too uncomfortable, you don't have to. That's the first decision we make, whether we're willing to go through a little discomfort in order to be an Eved Hashem. And then with that comes the simcha. Yismach Moshe b'matnas chelkai kiev and nemakroslei. Then there comes a tremendous simcha. But first you have to be willing to step on a couple of pebbles if you want to eventually get to that simcha. And that's one of the reasons that the Gemara says Eretz Yisrael is niknas b'yisurin. You want to live in Eretz Yisrael. You want to be able to be kaina Eretz Yisrael. There's going to be some yisurin. If you're a mafunik, then it's not for you. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, Kindlech, I don't want you. I'm going to put a rope around your neck and schlep you. You don't want to come, you don't have to come. But it's your loss. The halacha is true for Oil Regel. The halacha is true for Aliyah Eretz Yisrael. You have to want it. And then when you want it, you're going to step on a couple of pebbles to get there. And then eventually at the end of the road, there's a tremendous simcha in the schus of Eretz Yisrael, in the schus of the Beis HaMikdash, and the schus of bringing korbanos and being an Eved Hashem. Everybody, please be careful. Do the things that you should do. Don't do the things you shouldn't do. Don't go places you shouldn't be going. Whatever the government says, it says. It's okay to be more machmir than the government. The government has other cheshbonos. The government's worried about everybody making money. And we're worried about everybody staying alive and healthy. So we're not on exactly the same sheet of music all the time. And that's the cheshbon we have to keep ourselves. We want to stay healthy. We want to stay well, because that's what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants, healthy kindlech that can be Oyed Hashem and do the mitzvahs and learn Torah. Everybody have a wonderful day, Zaygus on Kol Tov.